We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Greetings, humans. It is I, Barnes, of the Guinea Pig Collective, the G.I. Joe and BattleBot Pig. Today we will be talking about another long-storied toy franchise by the name of G.I. Joe.
Yo, Joe! We'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there.
Now, G.I. Joe had started after the 1959 release by Mattel of Barbie, which had tremendous success. Hasbro wanted to get into the market and sell something very similar that would appeal to boys. Hence, they talked to an inventor named Stan Weston about a military doll that he created. Weston, after some bargaining, agreed to sell his concept for what he called the outfitted action figure for $100,000. But then he watched as that franchise grew into a $100 million success story. He could have taken a smaller amount up front and then received royalties in perpetuity, but chose not to. And what a tremendous mistake that wound up being. The inspiration from the figure was drawn from wooden artist mannequins, which had movable joints, giving the toy 19 points of articulation. This made the nearly 12-inch toy a lot more flexible than Barbie. And to distinguish G.I. Joe from dolls, which companies mostly marketed to girls, Hasbro marketed G.I. Joe to boys as an action figure. The original G.I. Joe was a U.S. Army soldier, but Hasbro soon released more versions of the toy: a G.I. Joe Navy sailor, an Air Force pilot, a U.S. Marine, and a NASA astronaut, as well as a female G.I. nurse action girl. In addition to these white action figures, Hasbro also released a black G.I. Joe Army soldier. Like Barbie, G.I. Joe had interchangeable clothes, weapons, vehicles, and accessories that could be purchased independently of the figures. Did you know the name G.I. Joe that they used for the toy line was inspired by a 1945 film about war correspondent Ernie Pyle titled The Story of G.I. Joe? The oil crisis that developed in the 1970s made it very difficult for most companies to be able to produce toys in that 12-inch range. In 1977, Star Wars came out, and in 1978, Kenner made boatloads of money selling 3.75-inch action figures. These figures sold so well that most companies decided that is the size that they were going to switch to for most of their figures moving forward for some time. What most people forget about is the Car and the Microman line, which was already in play in the 1970s. The mid-1970s seen the rise of Takara's Microman toys, which wound up creating a partnership between them and the Mego Corporation, which imported them in 1976 to become the Micronauts in the United States. No doubt Hasbro seen the success of not only the Micronauts and Microman in Japan, but of course with Star Wars as well, and in the 1980s talks of relaunching G.I. Joe had begun. Also in the 1980s, the U.S. political climate had changed and military toys again were gaining in popularity. So in 1982, They began production of these new 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joes, and in 1983 a cartoon series was launched to help promote this toy line. This toy line found tons of success and sold incredibly well, creating incredible characters and stories that not only continued in the cartoons but in the pages of Marvel Comics. The incredible tie-in promotion, the three-prong attack of ad advertisements, cartoons and comics, and of course the toys themselves, led to tremendous success for Hasbro and their relaunch of the G.I. Joe line. And the Guinea Pig Collective would be doing a disservice if we did not mention one person who was instrumental in relaunching G.I. Joe, and that would be Donald Levine. Even though there were small gaps in production, for the most part, in some form or another, G.I. Joe figures have been on shelves since their 1982 relaunch. When asked about its enduring quality, Levine suggested that G.I. Joes are very empowering toys for kids. A child has a character that is his or hers to direct through whatever adventure happens to come up on that particular day. The child is able to explore all manner of heroic and exciting possibilities, whether it be as a deep-sea diver, an astronaut, or a jet pilot. The kind of make-believe is something every generation thrives on. Levine's opinions on the importance of make-believe had a lot of merit. But something was lost as the G.I. Joes became more and more specific in the 1980s, and children were increasingly being told how to play. High-profile movies may further limit the possibility of play, but their popularity ensures that G.I. Joe will continue to fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. Guys, we hope that you enjoyed this deep dive into G.I. Joe and its origins. Over the course of G.I. Joe's history, many incredible characters have been created, some military, some not, but all becoming part of the Special Operations Unit known as G.I. Joe. Along with Cobra and their terrorist organization, many different characters and sub-genre of soldiers or antagonists have been created for the Hasbro line. The one that always seems to stand out the most, though, is Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was, shall we not say lazily done, but it was kind of a throw-in piece where they didn't put a lot of time into the paint applications and pretty much just blacked out a figure to be able to have another one in the line when it was being launched. Of course, over the years, Snake Eyes has developed more personality and a much better look and much more articulation as these figures have become so much more well-defined. And of course, right now, we were still in part of a renaissance of G.I. Joe and all the figures that they were putting out, with many classic figure looks returning to the shelves. This has been long awaited by many fans, and many are looking forward to the next set of releases that Hasbro will be doing with their G.I. Joe classified line. We here at the Guinea Pig Collective ourselves have been looking forward to the rest of the Dreadnoks being released. Hopefully we'll see all the rest of them, such as Thrasher and Zanzibar, but only time will tell. What was your favorite G.I. Joe?
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare.